February 7th, 2025 City of Oshkosh Plan Commission meeting. We're glad that you can join us, and I do see we have a quorum. I have a few housekeeping items to go over before we begin. Please turn off or silence all of your personal communication devices. The applicant and members of the public may speak to any item before the Plan Commission when the relevant item to which you wish to speak is called and public comment is opened. Unless an exception is made by the Plan Commission, the following rules will apply. The applicant will be given up to 10 minutes to present any information they wish for us to consider. Thereafter, members of the public will be given up to 5 minutes to address the specific item before the Plan Commission. Members of the public may speak only once per called agenda item unless a Plan Commission member requires clarification or wishes to ask you a question. Questions or statements from the audience will not be considered. Only statements from the podium after you've stated your name and your address and within the allowed time constraints will be considered by the Plan Commission. After all community members have had an opportunity to speak on the called agenda item, the applicant will be asked if they have a final statement for the Plan Commission, and then the Commission may take action on that agenda item. The Common Council has adopted rules of decorum for city boards and commissions, including the adoption of a civility pledge. No person shall personally attack a board member, commission member, city official, staff, or any other person. No person shall make irrelevant, unduly repetitive, offensive, threatening, slanderous, defamatory, or obscene remarks or act in such a manner as to disrupt or disturb the orderly conduct of the meeting. This would include hand clapping, stomping of feet, whistling, shouting, or other demonstrations. I appreciate you all and thank you for your understanding. Now on to the agenda. Roll call, please.
Ms. Propp, Councilmember Nichols.
Here.
Mr. Belleville.
Here.
Ms. Davey.
Here.
Mr. Lowenstein.
Here.
Mr. Bowen. Ms. Shireman. Vice Chair Kiefer.
Here.
Chairman Perry.
Here.
6 board members present.
Thank you. Approval of the December 3rd, 2024 minutes.
Move to accept as written.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the minutes? Any discussion on the minutes? Okay, I'm seeing none. We can have a voice vote on this one. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Nay? And the minutes have passed. Thank you. Item number 1 is a residential design standards variance to allow for an addition on the front facade at 27 Johnson Avenue. Steve Radajak is the owner and applicant. Have there been any site inspections? Thank you. I will accept the staff report as part of the record. Please present your summary.
Thank you, Chairman. So, as stated, the applicant is requesting approval of a variance from the city's residential design standards to allow for a front facade addition at 27 Johnson Avenue. The subject site is a residential lot located at 27 Johnson Avenue, and it is approximately 15,000 square foot lot in area. According to the assessor's website, the lot contains a 1,232 square foot single family home that is 1 story and was built in 1986. The surrounding area consists of single family uses with varying character and similar scale. The applicant is requesting to construct a garage addition on the front facade of the existing garage, as well as widening the existing garage by 4 feet. You can see in that picture above, which is the current facade from a Google Street View picture, the roof line kind of carries over, kind of cantilevers over an existing walkway. That is that 4-foot extension that I'm speaking about. The proposed front addition consists of a 24 by 15 foot garage attached to the front facade of the existing garage that faces Johnson Avenue. Above you can see the renderings as proposed. The complete project does include the widening, as I stated, by 4 feet, which relocates that front door to the front of that addition. And then the installation of another service door on the west side of the building, as you can see in the bottom picture. And then of course the full 24 by 15 foot garage addition. So the applicable ordinance prohibits additions on the front facade, and therefore Plan Commission review and design standard variants are needed for this project. The site plan provided properly explains the complete project, which again includes everything I just had stated. And so with that, I'll just give you a second to look at that. A couple of notes. They're showing that they're removing the existing staircase inside the existing garage. Again, removing that one exterior wall, adding a new wall to widen the garage by 4 feet, and then the service door in the garage addition. So with that, staff does recommend approval of the variance request with the findings and conditions listed in the staff report.
Thank you very much. Plan Commissioner, are there any technical questions to staff? Are there any technical questions to staff? I do have one. So the addition, the house and property in question is set back further, or the front of the garage is set back further than all the other houses on that street. And it appears the one to the right, as we looked at it, might even been further towards the street than the other ones on the street. Does this put this any further than any of those houses?
It doesn't. I should have mentioned, thank you for bringing that up. So the prevailing setback is 30 feet from the neighboring properties, and this 15-foot addition of the garage puts that at 30 feet as well.
Okay.
The aerial site plan, that's why I showed the entire block to show.
Oh, sure. Yeah, this image here kind of explains that as well. Where's the clicker? Do we have one? No? But yeah, you can see there 11 Johnson Avenue, and then the other properties to the west are in the township. So I'm not sure what those number of the houses are, but you can see they're approximately 30 feet from the right-of-way, and this 15-foot addition would match that prevailing setback.
Thank you. Any other technical questions for Plan Commission staff? Okay, seeing none, and this is, I do allow public comment on all agenda items, so I'm going to open the public comment period, and if the applicant is here, they can make a statement at this time. Is the applicant here, and do they wish to make a statement?
Yes, I do.
Approach the podium and state your name and address for our records, please.
Hi there, my name is Steve Ratajczak. I live at 27 Johnson Avenue. The purpose of this meeting for myself is to bring my property in compliance with my neighbors on both sides, and it will also bring up the aesthetics and curb appeal with this addition. That's about all I have to say.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Is there any other member of the public that wishes to speak on this agenda item? Any other member of the public that wishes to speak? Okay, I'm seeing none, so I'm going to close the public comment period. We don't need a closing statement from the applicant unless you want to make one.
Okay.
All right, Commission, the action is upon you.
Motion to adopt the findings and recommendations as stated in the staff report.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on this motion? Any discussion on the motion? All right, I'm seeing none. Let's have a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Nichols?
Aye.
Mr. Belville?
Aye.
Ms. Davy?
Aye.
Mr. Lowenstein?
Aye.
Vice Chair Kiefer?
Aye.
Chairman Perry?
Aye.
Motion carried 6-0.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Item number 2 is a residential design standards variance to allow metal siding and increased front yard setback on a new home to be built at property located on the east side of the 1100 block of Hawk Street. Key and Chad Simon are the owner and applicant. Have there been any site inspections by the Plan Commission? Okay, I'm seeing none. So I will accept the staff report as part of the record. Please present your summary.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The subject property is a vacant lot located on the southeast corner of Buchanan Avenue and Hawk Street. The lot is just over 32,000 square feet, and it's unique in its size and its frontages. It has one frontage on Hawk Street and then 2 frontages on Sawyer Creek. It is zoned single-family residential, R9, while the surrounding properties are zoned either the same or institutional. The applicants participated in a workshop on November 19th, 2024, and there was support for the project with from the Plan Commission and staff at that time. The applicant would like to construct a shipping container home at the subject site. The metal material of the shipping container and the increased front setback are not in compliance with the city's zoning code and do not match with the neighboring properties. But the proposed plans were approved could be approved if the shipping container house was clad in traditional siding material. The applicants resubmitted plans that softened the effect of the shipping containers, original metal cladding. The plan uses traditional cedar siding to complement the metal material of the shipping container. The proposed structure also has larger setbacks than the neighboring properties, which are at 24 feet. They're proposing 75 feet, so it doesn't match the neighboring property, but the subject site is a corner lot at the end of a street, has 2 frontages on waterfront, and it is not a traditional infill urban lot. The submitted site plan shows the new housing having a 75-foot setback. Staff supports the applicant's request for the increased front setback because 1, it is not a traditional infill site. 2, it's at the end of Hawk Street. And 3, it has a unique lot configuration that fronts Sawyer Creek on 2 sides. Staff also supports leaving portions of the metal siding of the shipping container exposed with using the cedar siding shakes on the facade and the sides of the proposed structure, and it enhances the overall curb appeal. So staff recommends approval of a variance from the city's residential design standards to allow metal siding and an increased front yard setback on a new home as proposed.
All right, thank you very much for your report. Plan Commission, are there any technical questions to staff? Any technical questions to staff on this one? We're going to let this guy off easy on this first one? Okay. All right, I see no technical questions, so this is going to be a public comment period, and I will open it for public comment and ask if the applicant is here and they wish to make a statement. Okay. That's fine. Are there any other member of the public that wishes to speak on this agenda item? Yes, if you could approach the podium. Do we have the ability to move the microphone?
Good afternoon. My name is Glenn Hoagie. I live at 1116 Hawk Street, just adjacent to that property. I've got no problems with the setback and these changes, the variances on siding. I have no issue with that. My concern is water runoff. I got a drainage problem. That lot is at least 3 feet higher than my lot, and with the added building structure on there, all the water to the south of me is going to end up in my basement. So if there's anything that can be done, or is there any guidelines that should be followed, what I would like to see is maybe a drain tile which would run on our property line from Hawk Street back, and diverting any water runoff back into the creek would be an ideal solution for me. But that's the biggest problem I got is water drainage, and we already have a problem with our landscape around the house. It's fairly low, and even getting our sump pump to run with freezing water, it's been an issue. So put that for your consideration. I don't know what can be done, but.
The city's housing code does address drainage, so it is reviewed to make sure that the new home is properly graded.
Pardon me?
The city's housing code addresses grading, so it is reviewed to ensure that there's proper grading for the new home.
Okay.
Thank you. Is there any other member of the public that wishes to speak on this agenda item? Any other member of the public wishes to speak on this agenda item? I'm seeing none, so I will close the public comment period. Does the applicant wish to make a closing statement? Okay. All right. So there's no closing statement from the applicant, so Plan Commission, the action is upon you.
Motion to adopt the findings and recommendation as stated in the staff report.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on this motion? Mr. Nichols?
I just want to say I think this is really cool, and I'm glad that we are finding creative solutions to put homes on infill lots in Oshkosh. We know we have a housing issue, so I'm glad that staff was able to work with the applicant to make this happen.
Thank you. Any, Ms. Davy?
I also want to say this is a really cool house. I hope to be invited over as soon as you get it all done. It's a very sustainable solution, and I like that a lot, so thank you.
Mr. Kiefer?
Just to address the gentleman's concerns, there are standards that for stormwater runoff that it wouldn't be any worse than the current situation, correct?
Correct.
So anything they do would have to meet those standards.
Any other discussion on this motion? Okay, I'm seeing none. Let's have a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Nichols?
Aye.
Mr. Belville?
Aye.
Ms. Davy?
Aye.
Mr. Lowenstein?
Aye.
Vice Chair Kiefer?
Aye.
Chairman Perry?
Aye.
Motion carried 6-0.
Wonderful, thank you very much. Item number 3 is residential design standards variance to allow for door area reduction or closure on the front facade at 1922 Mitchell Street. Chris Ramos is the owner and applicant. Have there been any site inspections by the Plan Commission? Okay, I'm seeing none. So I accept the staff report as part of the record. Please present your summary.
Thank you, Chairman. The subject property is a residential lot located at 1922 Mitchell Street and is approximately 13,700 square feet in area. The surrounding area consists of single-family uses with varying character and similar scale. The subject property and the surrounding properties are all zone SR9. The owner first submitted a design standard variance application in August 2024 and was denied that variance request at the October 15, 2024 Plan Commission meeting. After that meeting, staff worked with the applicant to clarify what could be done to gain compliance with the city's residential design standards. According to the applicant, the exterior work on the front facade included removal of the sliding glass patio door, which is shown up above in the previous facade photos, and then it was replaced with these 2 replacement windows. This reduced the total glazing area of the front facade. Additionally, the applicant closed off the separate front door but plans to replace it with a new door in the same size and same location as before, as pictured above. The applicant stated that these modifications were necessary because they believe the integrity and well-being of the house was in structural jeopardy. The applicant feels these changes improve the look, value, and desire of the home. It should also be noted that the applicant has recited a portion of the home that has resulted in mismatching siding and is therefore in violation of the city's residential design standards. This DSV request does not include the mismatched siding, as it is staff's understanding that the applicant plans to obtain the proper permits to reside the rest of the house to match the newly sided portion. If the mismatched siding is not addressed, staff will follow normal code enforcement procedures to address that violation. The applicant provided all the necessary dimensions for the prior, current, and proposed front facade, and this helped staff during the DSV process. Staff does not support the completion of work without the appropriate approvals and permits. However, the applicant has worked with staff to address the current violations. Although the replacement windows result in a variation greater than 10%, the proposed changes will meet the 25% window and door opening requirements on the front facade. This was considered in staff's recommendation, and staff believes the overall project does not negatively affect the neighborhood and will not negatively impact the architectural integrity of the home. Staff recommends approval of a variance from the city's residential design standards to allow for the door reduction and closure on the front facade with the findings and conditions listed in the staff report.
Okay, thank you very much for your report. Plan Commission, is there any technical questions to the staff? Ms. Davy?
I'm curious if there's a timeline on the siding replacement?
I believe we have 1 year requirement as one of the conditions.
Okay, thank you.
Other technical questions? Okay, I'm seeing none. So I will open public comment and request if the applicant is here to see if they would like to make a statement. Is the applicant here and would like to make a statement? I do not see the applicant here. Is there any member of the public that wishes to make a statement on this agenda item? Any member of the public wish to make a statement on this agenda item? Okay, I'm seeing none. So I'm going to close the public comment period. We don't need a closing statement from the applicant, so Plan Commission, the action is upon you.
Motion to adopt the findings and recommendations as stated in the staff report.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on this motion? Any discussion on the motion? Okay, I'm seeing none, so roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Nichols?
Aye.
Mr. Belleville?
Aye.
Ms. Davy?
Aye.
Mr. Lowenstein?
Aye.
Vice Chair Kiefer?
Aye.
Chairman Perry?
Aye.
Motion carried 6-0.
Okay, item number 4 is the preliminary plat for the creation of an 18-lot single-family residential subdivision at the former Washington Elementary School property, 929 Winnebago Avenue. It's the Washington School preliminary plat. City of Oshkosh is the owner and the applicant. Have there been any site inspections of this property? May have had me as well. Thank you. Those are so noted. Please present. I will accept the staff report as part of the record. Please present your summary.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The subject site is the former Washington Elementary School property, which the city purchased from the Oshkosh Area School District in September of 2024. The parcel is sized at 2.831 acres and is located between Winnebago and School Avenues. The property was purchased to redevelop the site for single-family housing, which has been identified as a need in the Oshkosh Housing Plan. The school building is scheduled to be raised during the winter of 2025. The site will be completely cleared and prepped for the proposed development consisting of 18 new single-family residential lots. The general area is predominantly a well-established single-family neighborhood with a scattering of two-family uses, a church to the west, and a few commercial uses along Bowen Street. The comprehensive land use map was amended in July of 2024, changing the recommended land use from institutional to low-density residential to accommodate this redevelopment. The preliminary plat utilizes the entire lot and is proposed to be platted with the 18 single-family lots. The lots range in size from 5,500 square feet to 9,800 square feet in area. Lot widths along Winnebago Avenue are proposed to be 55 feet in width, except the easternmost lot, which is proposed to be 66 feet wide. And the lots along School Avenue are proposed to be 52 feet wide, except the easternmost lot, which will be 66 feet as well. All the proposed lots meet the SR9 minimum code requirements in regard to width, depth, and area, and it's not, the lots are not out of character with other lots to the west and east of the site. With a proposed dwelling unit totaling 18 units, the density of this development is considered low at approximately 6.4 units per acre. The SR9 zoning district has a maximum density of 9 units per acre. So the lot density meets code requirements in the SR9 district. The proposed plat does not have any newly any new right-of-way dedications. All of the new lots will have direct frontage to either Winnebago or School Avenue. The plat does not include area for parkland dedication. The city determined by use of the recently updated comprehensive outdoor recreation plan that there is sufficient recreational facilities nearby. Instead of land dedication, the city will pay fees in lieu of, which amounts to $7,200 or $400 per proposed lot. The Department of Public Works reviewed the availability of city utilities to serve the development and reported that the city has water and sanitary sewer available from both Winnebago and School Avenues. The city police and fire departments have reviewed the plan and have not indicated any problems relative to servicing the proposed development. And the Oshkosh Area School District has been notified of the proposed subdivision and has not responded with any concerns about being able to accommodate the additional student population. After preliminary plat approval, the city will submit final plat for review and approval. After final plat approval, the city is expecting to break ground for utility construction in spring of this year. So with that, staff is recommending approval of the 18-lot Washington School preliminary plat as proposed.
Thank you very much for your report. Plan Commission, are there any technical questions to staff? Councilmember Nichols.
So I have a couple. So the first one is, we intend as a city to put, to use our architectural design book for each of these parcels, is that correct?
Correct.
And is that finished yet?
The architectural design book.
Okay.
Yes.
And so there's no issue in placing any of those homes on any of these 18 lots? I guess I just want to confirm, because I know several people, I'm sure, are here for that, so I want to make sure that the houses will fit on those lots.
Absolutely, and that's part of the reason why we created the design book, because we know that some of the infill lots in our central city are more narrow, and sometimes builders look at it as as there obstacles to actually build on it. So we actually did, Jeffrey here actually worked with a consultant, and they inventoried the neighborhood. They looked at the existing houses because they want to make sure it matches the integrity of the neighborhood. So the city, just so everybody knows, we have an agreement with Habitat for Humanity. They're going to construct on the 9 lots. The city's going to construct on the other 9 lots. But it's going to be all mixed up. It's not like we're just going to construct on School Street and Habitat's going to construct on Washington or Winnebago, excuse me. And we are working closely with Habitat to make sure that there's incentive for them to incorporate some of those design features so it meets the integrity of the neighborhood and looks similar. So everybody's going to have a detached garage like the neighborhood has, and they're going to be 2-story homes. There's going to be some story and a half. So we do really want it to be incorporated and blend in well with the neighborhood.
Thanks. And each of those homes that are built on the lots, they're intended to be workforce housing, is that right?
Yes. So when we say workforce, I know lately that unfortunately has gotten some, I guess, negative feedback, but workforce is probably everybody sitting in this room. These are people, I actually kind of have the numbers here in Winnebago County. It's people that make about $80,000 to $140,000 a year. So it's just an average person, a house that they can afford in the city of Oshkosh. And I think this will be a desirable area because it is a very nice established neighborhood and a great part of the town near a lot of amenities.
Perfect. And my last question, and I know you've mentioned this in the report and you mentioned it in your presentation. So this is just the preliminary plat approval, which will go to council if it's approved today. And then there's the final plat approval. What is the difference between the two, and what other opportunities do people have to talk about this?
Absolutely. So the preliminary plat is very conceptual, as you see. The final plat is going to have a lot more detail. We're going to distinguish if there's any easements on these, which there will be for drainage. So if that's a concern, we are obviously making sure that this new development will not negatively impact other homes, existing homes in the area. So there's a lot more detail as far as where utilities might go. So we're working on that right now with an engineer to get those plans together. As far as public input, we're very engaged with the neighborhoods associations in that area. For noticing, we invited quite a few people on School Ave, Winnebago, I think a little bit of Rosalia. But what we would like to do is, maybe start to get emails so we can easily, give updates to folks so they know what's going on. Just sending messages out, somehow do newsletter articles, just to keep people in the loop of the timeline.
Perfect. Thank you.
Are any other technical questions, Ms. Davey?
Can you speak a little bit to the rec space and how you decided that, I don't think it's a good look for the city necessarily to have this area and not reserve park space, so how did you make that decision?
As Jeff mentioned, the Parks Department just updated our comprehensive outdoor plan, the CORP. We have to do about every 5 years. And in this area, we do have Stevens Park to the south, and then we also have Menominee Park to the north. So when the consultants were looking at it, they did determine that there were recreational facilities close enough to meet the needs of the neighborhood. And instead of taking up 3 or 4 lots in this area, we thought it would be best to use those funds to try to enhance or create new parks in the city where there are actually need for rec space.
Thank you.
Other technical questions for staff from Plan Commission? Okay, I'm seeing none, so this is going to have a public comment period, and I'm going to open the public comment period, and the applicant can make a statement, although I believe they already have. So is there any member of the public that wishes to speak on this agenda item? Please approach the podium and state your name and address for our records, please.
My name is Ron Hanchy, 52 Eveline Street, and I'm project coordinator for the Stevens Park Neighborhood Association. The reason that I'm here is since this has been approved, we want to have some involvement in it to make sure that the construction and the designs fit the many architectural styles that are in the neighborhood, and it does not become a cookie cutter type of situation. So we appreciate the opportunity to be informed of this, but we want to be more informed when it comes to the design and construction of these facilities. And I'd like to have that placed on record that whenever meetings are held, the Stevens Park Neighborhood Association Steering Committee will be invited to attend those meetings. So I would like to have that placed in the record if possible. Am I hearing any comment?
There will be no comment, just your statement.
And it will be in the record.
I can't comment on that. I know that our secretary is typing everything down, so it's in the record in that capacity for sure.
Yeah, because previously things have gone on without our opportunity to provide information from the neighborhood. We hold 9 meetings, 8 to 9 meetings a year, and we would appreciate the city and Habitat providing us information whenever they have anything at those meetings so the neighbors can comment on the situation. We presently have in the neighborhood of 15 to 30 neighbors at our meetings during the year.
Thank you very much. So any other member of the public that wishes to speak to this agenda item, please approach the podium and state your name and address for our records, please.
My name is Juan Garcia Irvides, and my address is 1115 Winnebago Avenue, so pretty close to the development. I have I know you're probably not going to answer this based on the answer that you just gave the other gentleman, but I have questions about the project, and so if you want to address it, I'd be happy to hear about it. My question, or rather my concern, would be how, since what you last mentioned was that I think development in utilities is going to start soon in the spring, right? How does that affect or play into the lead pipe replacement that the city or the county is undergoing? Because those are also, my understanding is that those are on their way in a certain part of the city. It is not very clear to me if this is related or affected at all, since it is my understanding that once internal pipe replacements are lead pipe replacements are done, the city or the county, whoever is responsible for this, has about 180 days, right, to do their part. So I guess my question or my confusion or my concern is whether or not this development is going to play into that replacement, and whether or not that's going to affect the neighbors, myself included, right, and our ability, timeline, or availability to start those replacements because of our proximity. assume that these lines are connected, and so that is my concern. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. I will allow the Plan Commission to ask if they choose to after all public speaking, a follow-up question on that. Is there any other member of the public that wishes to speak on this agenda item? Any other member of the public that wishes to speak on this agenda item? Okay, I'm seeing none. Does the Plan Commission have any follow-up questions? Ms. Davy or Councilmember Nichols?
Sorry. I'm wondering if we could ask Justin to come up and address that.
Certainly.
Hi, look, there he is.
I just want to make sure I understood the question appropriately. So it sounds like the question is what is this development and this housing project, how does it relate to the existing city policy on lead service replacement?
Yeah.
Okay,
That's my understanding, yes.
This project in itself is totally separate from that program. I think the city, and I would kind of look to Kelly a little bit, but city has a plan to install utilities to these parcels. These parcels will have their own utilities installed new this spring, I think as Jeff mentioned in the staff report. So in and of itself, there's no relation. Certainly when construction's going on, situations may arise, emergency where something happens, something may break, a pressurized system that happens once in a while. It is not anticipated that anything should go wrong with this project as a part of that, but to compare this project to that lead service program, there's really no correlation to each other unless something would happen during construction to the area that a service would get hit or damaged as a part of that construction.
Mr. Kiefer.
Are there any leads in school or Winnebago Avenue? Are there any of those pipes? I mean, those streets are redone recently, I believe.
So I can say for certain that the mains, there would be no leads. I would be guessing at this point in time if any of the surrounding area would have private side lead services, public or private side. I'd have to do some research into that.
Yeah,
I mean, certainly it's a possibility, but the main itself should be lead free.
And so if the main is lead free, then that means that the addition of additional service lines to these parcels, that's not going to cause anyone else's timeline to change.
Absolutely correct. Again, the only thing that would happen is if during construction, there would be a private side or a break on the public side of the private lateral to a home, but again, I'm not anticipating anything.
Okay, thanks.
Justin, would it make sense, I don't know where the water mains are, if they're on the north or south side of Winnebago or school or right in the middle. If the road is open, and it might not be open all the way, it might kind of be patches, we'll have to see what the contractor wants to do. And if the road is open, and if somebody knows they have a lead pipe, obviously we have, funding resources. Would it be cheaper if somebody was interested in replacing it at that time just to take care of it? Could it be cheaper for them?
So what I would say to that is anything, for simplest terms, sidewalk to sidewalk is this public's utilities, the water utilities' responsibility to maintain for all these homes that are small services. So if there's a private side that has lead that wishes to get theirs replaced, there wouldn't necessarily be any cost savings to them outside of the match funding that the city has and is offering up to residents to get their lead services replaced. There may be some cost savings on the city's end to get that public side replaced in the right of way in coordination with this project. But again, at this time, there's no intention to do that unless a homeowner would request it to get it done. We would try to get that coordinated.
Okay, thank you.
And related to that funding, that there is funding still available, and actually the new year actually helps with that for these residents. Is that
Absolutely.
right? Okay, thank you.
Is there any other follow-up questions the Plan Commission wishes to make on the public comment? Councilmember Nichols.
Thanks. I know we talked about the design book a little bit. I know the Stevens Point Neighborhood Association had a concern about these looking cookie cutter and all matching each other. Can you speak a little bit to the variation between the options for the developers?
Sure. I'll ask maybe Jeffrey I'll let him come up and talk about it because he's been working on that. But really, Jeffrey and our consultant worked hard to put together a book where you kind of have a basic home that matches the neighborhood, but then there's different features that you can put on And it's almost like, you can put something on, take it away, and it will change the look of it. With, at the same point, still matching the neighborhood. I was gonna say, how many different, I guess, houses with all the different features in our book? You told me the number last week.
Yeah, on our last count, we had 120 different variations
Yeah.
of basically the same floor plan.
Right. But just the outside could look differently. So when we will be working with a master builder, at least for the city's parcels, and they will be required to utilize the book that we have. And so that's something that we do want to see, different types of houses in the area. They're not building the same house one after the other. We want them all to be different to keep that character. And then, like I said, we're also working with Habitat to try to, make sure that they are following, in suit along with us.
Thank you.
Is there any other follow-up from the Plan Commission on the public testimony? Okay, I'm seeing none, so I'm closing that public comment. We already had a closing statement from the applicant. So, Plan Commission, the action is upon you.
Motion to adopt the findings and recommendation as stated in the staff report.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on this motion? Councilmember Nichols.
Similarly to my last, the last thing I said about the other house, the shipping container house. I think this is a big deal for Oshkosh. The fact that we're able to find a spot to put 18 homes in our center city that are workforce housing, so they are affordable to the average person living and working in Oshkosh. I think that's a huge deal. So I'm glad we're moving forward with it.
Mr. Belleville?
I live in this neighborhood. I live about a block and a half from that, and originally I wanted a park, but I realized that would be a bad idea because we have a great park in Stevens Park, and we have a huge park called Menominee Park not far away, and we do need homes. And I think Habitat, well, I would like to actually talk about workforce housing because I think you did a great job, Chairman Perry, at the last meeting, really emphasizing what that is, what that means, and I'm happy you brought the amount of money that is. And if you would look at, just the average person or average family in that neighborhood, that would be where it's at, if not less than that. And Habitat for Humanity does a really great job of getting homes and getting really great families in those homes. So you're gonna, if you know or don't know about them, maybe look into that. I think, if I'm correct, they're actually coming to the county board tonight, and they'll do a presentation for about 20 minutes, and they've done multiple ones in the past where they have pictures of homes and they show their communities, and you'll get a really good idea of what that looks like. They do an awesome job. They have really great looking homes, and again, they have great families, which will be a great addition to the neighborhood. So thank you.
Thank you. All right, any other discussion on this motion? All right, I'm seeing none. We'll have a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Nichols?
Aye.
Mr. Belleville?
Aye.
Ms. Daly?
Aye.
Mr. Lowenstein?
Aye.
Vice Chair Kiefer?
Aye.
Chairman Perry?
Present.
Motion carried 5-0 and 1 present.
All right, thank you. Item number 5 is a comprehensive land use map amendment from light density residential to neighborhood commercial for property located at 1705 Oshkosh Avenue. Rolock LLC is the owner and applicant. Have there been any site inspections of this property? Okay, those are so noted. I will accept the staff report as part of the record. Please present your summary.
Thank you. So the subject site is a residential property located at the southwest corner of Oshkosh Avenue and North Westfield Street. It includes a 4,000 square foot Victorian style house and a 1,000 square foot detached garage. The applicant is requesting to convert the existing house to an indoor commercial use. The property is zoned single-family residential 5 district, and the comp plan has slated for light density residential land use. The proposed indoor commercial use is not consistent with the comprehensive plan and is not permitted in the SR5 zoning district, so it will require a comprehensive land use map amendment and zone change to allow the proposed use. Here's the map of the surrounding area. This is the the comp plan. So currently, again, it's slated for light density residential land use, and the neighborhood properties to the north are slated for general commercial and neighborhood commercial to the east, and then light density residential to the south and west. Here's an aerial view of the subject site. It consists of commercial uses to the north, commercial use to the east, and residential uses to the south and west. So again, the applicant is proposing to utilize the existing house for indoor commercial use. They anticipate it being used for offices, professional services, or individual office suites where multiple tenants share common areas. There was a Plan Commission workshop held on September 3rd of this year with Plan Commission supporting low-intensity commercial use for the site. There was a neighborhood meeting held on October 1st of this year, and neighbors in attendance voiced some concerns related to traffic, stormwater management, lighting, buffering from neighboring residential properties, and potential future commercial uses on the subject property. Here's a concept plan of the proposed commercial use, which again would utilize the existing building, and then it would need to provide on-site parking. Staff is supportive of the proposed future land use amendment, as the proposed neighborhood commercial land use designation is consistent with neighboring commercial land uses. Specifically, there's Davis Child Care Center immediately to the east across Westfield Streets, and then also we have the corporate business park to the north across Oshkosh Ave. Also, neighborhood commercial land uses are located at corner properties of many residentially developed areas on commercially used streets throughout the city. So staff is recommending approval of the requested land use map amendment.
All right, thank you very much. Plan Commissioner, is there any technical questions to staff? Mr. Kiefer.
So if you go back to the plan, comprehensive plan use map, so is that the one that we approved, I don't know, within the last year to 18 months when we looked at that?
Yeah, the one recently, this is up to date, so it did include these parcels further to the west, and those were deeper properties. So at that time, we changed the comp plan to neighborhood commercial for those properties.
Okay. And then, is there anything preventing this house to be demolished at some point and be made into a commercial building kind of thing down the road? I mean, once the zoning is in, is this?
Yes, once the zoning is in place, it could be redeveloped for commercial purposes that fit that zoning district. It'll likely have a planned development overlay, considering their surrounding residences, to have that extra layer of review for any possible redevelopment. But again, at this time, it's proposed to keep the existing building.
Any other technical questions for staff? Okay, I'm seeing none, so this is also a public comment period, and I'm going to open the public comment. Statement from the applicant. Is the applicant here, and do they wish to speak? Do not see the applicant here. Is there any member of the public that wishes to speak on this agenda item? Approach the podium and state your name and address for our records, please.
My name is Ty Smoody. I live at 1270 Locust Street. We have some concerns about how this will impact our taxes and how it will also affect the resale value of our home in the future if we were to plan on selling. We would like to request a privacy fence around that area so that for extra privacy, because of the traffic and all extra foot traffic and everything will be going on there. We're concerned about foreseeable future plans of the buildings or houses on the south side of Oshkosh Ave there, because of all the buildup on the north side of Oshkosh Ave. If there's going to be any plans of building more commercial businesses, sites, whatever, there on that south side, that will be directly affecting our property. And we have concerns about the general condition of the, specifically the garage or carriage house, whichever you would like to call it there. We've had issues with rodents and critters and all that kind of stuff due to the condition of that carriage house. We just have those concerns if we're there's anything you would be able to tell us about that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Please approach the podium and state your name and address for our records, please.
Yes, my name is Robert Fox, and I live at 1235 North Westfield Street. I can't tell you the exact date, but it seemed like a couple of years ago, I went to a meeting that was held with the city, and it was held at that new building on Oshkosh Avenue where the real estate office is. And they had all kinds of plans showing what the long-range plans were for Oshkosh Avenue. And one of the points that was brought up, that we brought up, was what was going to be done on Oshkosh Avenue on the south side. And we were told that the city wanted to keep that as residential property, kind of keep it as a buffer. Now, what has changed that the city wants to turn this into commercial property? And they have in the sheet here that using the rationale that it was an office for Art Smith. Well, I've lived there for over 50 years. Art Smith raised his family in that house. He lived there. There never was any sign for any real estate business or anything like that. He just worked out of his house, but it was a house for a long time that he lived in. And my other concern is when I read it says our initial intention. What is the long-range intention? Does this individual own any other property on that side of Oshkosh Avenue? Is the intention to get this rezoned so eventually he can come back and get the whole Oshkosh Avenue, south side of the Oshkosh Avenue, rezoned for more commercial property? I think we need to take a hard look at that as to what the real intention is. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other member of the public wish to speak? Make sure you state your name and address for our records, please.
Thank you. My name is Catherine Jackson. I live at 1255 North Westfield. I share the property line, yep, right there. I share the property line with this residence. My concerns are many. Light pollution, traffic, resale value on my home. I'm going to have a parking lot about 6 feet from my bedroom window. The whole neighborhood has been residential as long as I've lived there, close to 40 years. And all of a sudden, we're turning it into commercial. I do believe that the person who currently owns the property also owns at least one, if not two, other properties on that street. And yes, I believe he is going to try to turn it into all commercial. I would ask that the Plan Commission take a hard look at what's happening to a very nice residential area. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other member of the public wish to speak on this agenda item? Any other member of the public wish to speak? Okay, I'm not seeing any, so I'm going to close the public comment period. If the applicant is here, they can provide a closing statement. Do not see them. So, Plan Commission, the action is upon you.
Motion to adopt the findings and recommendation as stated in the staff report.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the motion? Mr. Kiefer.
Yes, I go back to the time when we looked at the comprehensive plan and we designated this area as staying residential. We spent a lot of time on that and looked at some other developments further east on Oshkosh Ave, and we did designate the areas on the far bottom of the screen here as possibly becoming commercial, but we left this area as residential, and I don't see a good reason to change that planned use at this point in time. Yes, this is a large lot, and I can see it accommodating what is being asked to be put on here. But that doesn't change the fact that we did make a change and did that for very good reasons at the time we did it. And I don't see that this is a good opportunity or a good idea to change that at this point in time. The other point, I know when we created the TIF district for Oshkosh Avenue, I'm almost certain, 99.9% certain, that we included the residential side of Oshkosh Avenue, or the south side, I should say, as being available to be able to tap into TIF money to improve facades. I'm not sure exactly if there was ever anything developed as far as what could be done or how these homeowners could tap into those funds. And I think the intention was that we would maintain some residential housing and try to improve that using the TIF dollars that were available. So again, I think we're just going backwards by rezoning this particular lot for commercial use. So that's my 2 cents.
Councilmember Nichols.
I probably should ask this for technical questions, but if this map amendment were to be approved, what would the next steps be? I know there were questions about fencing and light pollution, and I know the city would look at all of that, but what does that process look like?
The next step would be rezoning the property to the neighborhood mixed-use zoning district, probably with the plan development overlay. There are buffer yard requirements along the neighboring residential properties, so they would need to have a combination of fencing, landscaping, and separation from those property lines to meet code. If appropriate, we could request additional screening beyond code requirements as part of the PD. But there is a requirement that they would need to buffer from those properties and also meet lighting requirements and traffic requirements.
So if it were approved, I'm hearing if there would be additional neighborhood meetings, additional discussion with the neighborhood?
It'd come through a plan development process and rezoning process, so back through Plan Commission and Council for review again.
Thanks.
Mr. Lowenstein.
I guess this, I don't know that I support this, and particularly because the owner is not here to to address some of these issues for us. So although I seconded the motion, I'm not sure I would want to vote for it at this point, because I would like to hear some reassurance from him. Obviously, this is an old house. It's big. We heard last time it's rented to a large group of folks that's perhaps not well kept up, and so I don't know the economic viability of making this into offices, so I sort of share the suspicion of the neighbors that he might not be totally above board in his long-term plans for this property. And with him not being here to address those questions, I would have a hard time voting to approve it without some of those reassurances from him directly.
Thank you. Any other discussion on the motion? I have a quick question as well. As SR5 include group living development or single room occupancy use?
I believe up to 8 residents is permitted for group residents.
So it's going to be an 8-bed CBRF, but what about single room occupancy?
I think it depends how many residents or units are in there.
Okay. Any other discussion on the motion? Mr. Councilmember Nichols.
Just a procedural question. If we vote to deny, is he able to bring it back with additional information, or would he have to change the rationale somehow? Because it's a map amendment, I'm not sure what the process is there.
I believe he has the ability to reapply. It could be laid over. He could withdraw it, I think, before council if he wanted to come back through.
And that's my second question. If this is even denied at Plan Commission, it would still go to council?
Still goes to council.
Correct.
Thanks.
Any other discussion on the motion?
I think we're
Ms.
giving
Davey?
Kelly time to check the SR5, is that right?
Yeah, we are just gonna double check that we. Single-family dwelling unit, single-family living arrangement, community garden, outdoor open space, passive outdoor, active outdoor, essential services, community living arrangement, 1 to 8 residents, 2 flat or duplex.
Okay. But does not specifically says SRO.
Correct.
Okay. Any other discussion? Ms. Davey?
I think maybe if Carl is amenable to this, that I might want to withdraw that motion, because I do agree with your point that because the owner isn't here to address this, that's kind of worrying. I know we've had other times when we haven't had somebody here to address it, and we've passed it on. We've either voted it down or we have saved it for another time. I guess if I withdraw my motion, then we could go ahead and put this on a different agenda.
Isn't it still on council's agenda, though?
Unless, I think we moved a layover.
Yeah, if PC makes that determination, we'll kind of place it on hold.
So I would withdraw my motion.
I'm amenable to that.
What do we do if we would?
So then I'll move to layover until the next plan commission meeting, and when the next person, the applicant can be present.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to lay over the agenda item, to withdraw the agenda, to withdraw the motion and then lay over the agenda item until the applicant can address in a future meeting. And it has been seconded. So any discussion on that motion? Councilmember Nichols.
So just so that we understand, so everyone understands what I think we're doing, is we're going to ask for this to be put on the January 21st agenda, so it will not go to council on the 14th. So the earliest it could go to council is the 28th, so there's still lots of opportunity for discussion here with this group and with council. Thanks.
Yes. Any other discussion on this motion? Okay, I see none, so we can have a roll call vote, please.
And to be clear, this roll call vote is on laying over.
Laying over.
To the January 21st meeting, when the applicant can be present. Councilmember Nichols?
Aye.
Mr. Belleville?
Aye.
Ms. Davy?
Aye.
Mr. Lowenstein?
Aye.
Vice Chair Kiefer?
Aye.
Chairman Perry?
Aye.
Motion carried 6-0 to lay over.
Thank you. Second to last item is the planning manager's report, the planning manager position update. I believe, Kelly, you were taking that?
Yeah, I just wanted to give everybody an update. I know we've been without a planning manager for a while. We still do not have one. But we've been working with a few folks, but I just wanted to let you know we are still diligently working on filling that position. So just kind of an update.
All right, wonderful. Thank you for the update. Last item on the agenda is adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. I'm assuming there's no discussion. This can be a voice vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned. We have 2 workshops tonight.